Well, hello there, showy ovarians. A quick wee preamble before we drop into the latest very sporadic droppings of mine. Of the showy ovaries, anyway, that is about to come up with the fantastic Eilish Moran. But I just thought I'd let you know that this Saturday night in Auckland, it's Showy Ovaries Live with Justine Smith. It's going to be hilarious, talking about bodily functions, all sorts of shit. The fact that we're both fake redheads from Christchurch, asthmatic, one parent is Australian. It's kind of crazy, actually. We have so much in common. So we'll be going into that and menopause and all sorts of other stuff as well this Saturday. Get your tickets at the Comedy Festival website or the Q Theatre website. And in a month, it's the Tempestuous. I'm starting rehearsals this week. It's very exciting. I've got to get the second half of the show into my head, but I do have the fridge magnets and tea towels ready. Tickets for that are at the Basement website, and they are pay what you choose. I've had people pay $8 so far and $46 so far, so you can choose whatever you would like from $8 to $100. So we'll see you there, but now stay tuned for Theatre Royalty from Eilish Moran.
Hello everyone, kia ora koutou, haere mai, and welcome along to Showy Ovaries. Yes, it's season 3 of the hottest podcast since a hot flash. Seasons 1 and 2 were solely focused on menopause in all its gloriousness. But in season 3, I'm going to be like Tom Cruise in Cocktail and mix it up a bit with style and flair, but less Scientology. I, Penny Ashton, winner of Miss Personality at the South Seas Dance Competition in 1983, am going to be focusing on our fleshy bone bags, our bodies, and all the shenanigans they throw at us as we use them as a vehicle to drive about in life, hoping to avoid fender benders and electrical jump starts. As per usual, I would like to make it clear that I am not a doctor. I know how to attach jumper cables, but that's no use if your vagina starts to burn, so please do seek out medical assistance from an actual medical professional should you require it. Today's guest is also not a doctor, but maybe has played some sort of doctor or nurse on... No, maybe not. Right, she can't remember. At some point. She is a luminary of the Christchurch stage, having performed in over 80 productions at the Court Theatre. I grew up watching her play a myriad of characters on that hallowed stage at the Arts Centre before it all fell down in the 2011 earthquakes. She is a former play school presenter, a director, a mother, someone who loves frocks as much as I do, and all-round theatre superstar, so please go crazy and wild and give a showy ovarian welcome to Eilish Moran. Yay!
Thank you, Penny. Lovely.
That's right. Now, how are you?
I am good, yes. I've got 3 shows to go of beautiful Sense and Sensibility, which you beautifully wrote, and enjoying myself very much.
Fantastic. So are you enjoying the estrogen-filled nature of the rehearsal and performance space?
Oh, yes. It's just delicious. We really revel in that every night in the dressing room and on stage, and I think the audience adore it too, so yeah.
In fact, everybody got naked in the dressing room recently to celebrate Natasha McCallish's birthday.
We did. She demanded it. She arrived. We were all posing in the dressing room, just doing our makeup. But then she looked in and she went, "You all have to be naked in 5 seconds." And then we all went, and Kathleen Burns said, "We have to do it." So we just all stripped off, and then she looked in and she just screamed with pleasure. So it was well worth it.
That was quite a good impersonation of her in just about 2 seconds that you did before as well. She is very like Marianne, the character in Sense and Sensibility, what she plays. She's very effusive.
She is.
Yes.
Yeah, delightful.
Very, very positive sort of energy at all times.
Yeah.
See, I'm not that comfortable just stripping off in front of people.
Well, I wouldn't normally do it, but I just didn't care.
It was mass hysteria.
It was mass hysteria. and because we're all women and we all seen each other's bits, we've all, bums, boobs, whatever in the dressing room, it really doesn't matter.
Yes, and you're like on the side of the stage getting dressed quickly. And
yes, true, although we've all got an undercorset and pants, so we're not actually going down to, nakedness.
Yeah.
However, it really doesn't matter, and it's lovely to not care about that and go, oh, there might be a man, and that might be wrong.
Yes, because all the stage crew, the stage manager, everybody is. In fact, it's the first time in the history of the Court Theatre that this has happened.
I think so. Our lovely Matt is our lighting and operator, but he's not anywhere near the backstage, so it's very free to... we've got oils burning, we've got low lights, we've got meditation mats. We've got yoga happening. It's lovely.
Wow. See, I hate all that. I hate yoga. I hate meditation. I'm like, there's too much to be thinking about nothing.
I love it. We don't all do it all the time. We've also got Shakti mats, the ones where you rip your back up when you lie on them. They're to make you relax.
Oh, wow.
But they're really sharp.
Yes, that doesn't sound very relaxing at all.
But there's offerings of all these things if you wish to go there.
Right. Okay. Excellent. And how have you found it? Because it's been really interesting to me because it's what I do but scaled up. So have you often done a lot of multi-character roles before?
Probably more in my youth as an actor, not so much lately. And I've really felt it. I thought, oh my goodness, why am I doing this at 58? Because it was fine at 28. But anyway, I do love it. So it's worth the slight foot pain at the end of the night. I've got a little bit of an ankle injury, but honestly, that's got better and better through the season. I think I've got feet smart throughout the thing to actually be kinder to my feet. And they've just got used to it. It's like any rehearsal and then into performance, your body gets used to it. So yeah, I'm very happy with the whole thing.
Oh, and the Poppy, was it?
Poppy.
Poppy is the boxer dog it's not me grunting in pleasure at what Eilish has to say, it is the dog. So right, okay, well I'm glad that you are enjoying it because it's quite a big departure for me. I mean I've written plays but not for a large group of people, and even though it's not large for the Court Theatre, is it with 6 people?
No.
Yeah, and on the stage that I grew up watching, etc. So that is really quite delightful.
I love playing multi-roles because, especially, you usually do it in comedy. You don't usually do a drama and play multi-roles. No. So when that signal of multi-roles is, yay, I can have fun and I can be a bit silly and sort of choose interesting accents or sort of presentations of whatever I do body-wise and facially wise and stuff and vocally. So it's really fun and I do enjoy that in this one, I must say.
Yeah, I'm a character actress, so I enjoy that. And what up with my shows, and maybe you have this as well, is that like one character is usually a lot stricter, like perhaps Mrs. Dashwood is a lot more of the anchor, and then everybody else ratchets up around you with the caricatures and silliness.
Absolutely. And because Eleanor and Marianne are sort of the, they're straighter, they're fun, but they're beautiful and sort of the straight characters. The 4 rest of us, as you know, because you wrote it, yes, of course, that we do infuse that comedy into it and really enjoy doing it. So
yeah, absolutely,
that's great fun.
Right, so now I have a longer introduction for you that I'm going to do now. So here we go. Eilish Moran was born on February the 9th in 1965, which begins one of the many spooky similarities between us because I was born on February the 10th in 1974. My first moment on stage was aged 4, as was Eilish's, who starred in A Midsummer Night's Dream, produced by Dame Nio Marsh, which just happened to have former artistic director of the Court Theatre, Elric Hooper, in it, playing Puck, and some guy called Nigel Neal, who changed his name to Sam Neill, playing Theseus. At age 18, she joined the Court Theatre and has been a mainstay on their main stage ever since. She has starred in some of my most memorable favourites at the Court, like Little Shop of Horrors and The Crucible, but has also played so many of the great iconic roles like Juliet, Hero from Much Ado About Nothing, Desdemona in Othello, Judy Garland in The End of the Rainbow, in Cabaret, August, Osage County, etc., etc., etc. She's also played a witch and Lady Macduff, 2 of the roles that I have played in Macbeth, and has also played Adelaide in Guys and Dolls, that I didn't play that, but I really wanted to. Like, we did it at my school, and I could find myself going, in other words, just from waiting around for that. I love that song. It's called Adelaide's Lament.
Yeah.
Now, just like me as well, most of your acting work has been on the stage, and you haven't even been on Shortland Street.
Well,
Amazing.
I have been a little bit last year. I did 2 days.
Oh, great.
And it was so enjoyable. And so I had about 11 scenes or something. In the end, I was some boyfriend's mother out in the country and somewhere gorgeous in Auckland. And I really loved it. In some ways, I would have loved a bigger role, but then again, I've done it now. Little bucket list.
Yes.
Done a bit of shorty, and I felt like I really nailed it.
Well
I'm really proud of myself.
I was Dr. Margaret Cole, obstetrician gynecologist, for 2 whole episodes in the year 2000. So, yeah.
You could come back with a bigger role.
Imagine that. I just disappeared too. I didn't actually leave, or I just was there and then I wasn't there anymore. I was just
seemingly people have had 7 roles on Shortland Street. They just come back and
well,
come back.
Rebecca Hobbs was my flatmate at the time. In fact, with 3 flatmates were in a scene together, which was kind of crazy. And she's done 3 roles, I think. So
Okay.
yes, absolutely. But anyway, back to your long introduction. She also loves dresses, admires Jacinda Ardern, values compassion in men and a sense of humour in women, and has invited me into her home in the country. Like, we are nestled in this, would you say it was built in 1860?
Yeah.
Amazing. It's very country cottage chic to talk about your body. So again, let's hear it for theatrical royalty, Ms. Moran. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Woof, that's right. Ooh, Poppy's excited. Excitable lady chatters.
With the kitten.
We have a kitten here called Edward Ferris, who's named after one of the characters in Sensibility, and she's so chill. Whereas Poppy is looking like...
he is so chill.
Of course, and Poppy is looking at me like she wants to kill me. Anyway, so the question I have asked everybody, and I am shifting up, this is my 2nd episode of season 3, and as I said, and I will ask you about your menopause later, but what has the journey with your body been like through your life?
Well, I think, well, my journey through my life with my body, I was quite a plump little child when I look back at photos. My father owned a dairy when I was about 3, 4, 5, and we just ate that.
Sweets.
We ate the dairy.
Lollies.
There was huge jars, that old-fashioned dairy.
Yes.
We just put our hands in. It was so disgusting.
Where was
Think
the
of
dairy?
COVID. It was called the Springbank Dairy, and it was in Greers, just off Greers Road.
Oh, yeah.
It was cute as, and Dad was so kind. He didn't make any money. He'd just give food away to people.
Oh.
He was such a sweet man. We'd make these ice creams and just dip it in the chocolate and then the hundreds and thousands for ourselves after school. We'd go and have pies there. We just ate crap. So, yeah, I was podgy.
But happy.
But happy and had a kind daddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, then, sort of, I realised by the time I got to my teenage years that, I was still a little bit big around the waist and everything. And then when I got into play school, which I did when I was about 19, I got my mother, who was a wonderful seamstress, to make me these big sack dresses. There was no one dressing us on play school like you would on any other TV show now. You actually got your own clothes. And I got Mum to make me, and I'd buy this material, and she'd make me these huge sacks to wear to cover my actually lovely body.
Oh,
you know, it's
yeah.
just awful
Yeah.
when you look back. And then, of course, when I get into the theatre, there's just the continual wanting to get slim by opening night.
Yeah,
And that is a 4-week cycle, because I was just on all the time. And, you know, you'd have some success, but then it would go on again. So, yeah, I've had bouts of bulimia through my life,
right.
Particularly in Auckland when I went up and tried to sort of make it up there.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I had a partner down here at the time. I was in my late 20s, and I thought, right, you know, I need to go up there and maybe try and get on Shortland Street, try and do some auditions, be up there, get an agent and all that. And I did all that, and I worked in a restaurant in Ponsonby, which was foul, and actually 2 restaurants, and I got fired from one, which was just so humiliating.
What did you do?
Oh, I just came back from holiday, and they didn't want me, and they said, "I'm sorry, there's no job for you anymore." And I just felt I was
I
useless.
don't think that's firing. I think that's being made redundant.
Well, I don't know, but it felt like firing. I felt useless. I wasn't a good waitress. I would forget. I'm not good with all of that stuff.
Right.
I'm not a hospo person. But anyway, and yeah, I think the irony of the whole situation, I had a flat. It went on and on and on, and I, you know, was trying to get into this and get into that. Then I got a job at a new cafe in Shortland Street. Okay.
So you made it.
I made it.
So you got a job on Shortland Street.
I started at this cafe. I went in there, and this man was showing me how to butter the scones and which way you butter them. And my head started going a bit weird. And I thought, And I went, "Excuse me, I'm just going to go to the bathroom." And I sat in the bathroom, and I was just shaking. And I had this apron on and everything that they'd given to me. And I'd been there about an hour. I came out and I said, "I'm really sorry. I can't do this job." And I said, and he said, "Oh, we'll pay you for the hour." I said, "Oh, no, please, no."
Oh, that's sweet. That's a sweet
I know,
man.
it's very kind, but he could see I was in a bit of a state. So I got out of that place, out of Shortland Street, this cafe in Shortland Street, went back to the flat, went and got a trailer, emptied everything out of my bedroom, took it back to my friend's place who'd loaned it all to me, left it on his porch, and rang my partner in Christchurch and said, "I'm coming home." And
Wow.
they said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yep." And, it took me about 3 or 4 hours to get all the stuff out and leave a note for my flatmate, said I'll pay the last bit of rent, I'm going. So they'd come home and I would be gone.
Wow.
Gone. And then I just drove.
Right.
Drove to the ferry and drove home.
Wow.
So I sort of had a bit of a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But I just had enough.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that, right? So, because that's what I did when I first got to Auckland, and I got so sick of all of that, then I started making my own work. Yeah, and I mean, I was on Shit on Street for 2 episodes, and I was a lot fatter at the time, so I get put up for all the fat girl roles. And there's nothing like reading a description. Oh, I remember that. Oh, this is the best description I got. That's right. What was it? Not typically attractive. Oh, I'm going to remember it. Oh, it was so funny.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, not typically attractive or attractive in an obvious way. Possibly overweight, possibly not, but with a sense of home comfort about her.
That is so revolting.
Isn't that hilarious? I'm like, it's like the sort of equivalent of porridge or a scone or a sense of home comfort.
Which I did offer you this morning. We're both having a scone.
We
Good
are.
on us.
That's right. And right. So so was the bulimia when you were in Auckland?
It really reared its head hugely in Auckland. I just knew that, really, I thought I needed to be slim to be getting any roles and things. And I was lonely as well. There were lots of things. I was staying at a friend's place. Then I got the flat and I was drinking heaps too. I nearly drove really drunk one day and someone took my keys away after being at a bar with some friends. So there were a lot of little angels. I'm not a Christian, but there were a lot of things that happened that luckily I didn't go down those roads.
Yeah, wow.
So, but...
What were, the director at the Court Theatre and stuff like that, were they fostering that?
I don't know if Elric ever talked about weight, but he did certainly favour that slim... He loved the slim blonde, and he always had one in the cast. There was always a slim, willowy blonde, which I was not. I was short and dark and sort of, square.
But yet you had so many ingenue parts.
I did. And, I just did. And the thing is, often you play the maid, and the maid is the best damn role in the play.
Right.
If it's a great little quirky maid or whatever, mouthy maid. I love those roles better than the ingenue who was playing the sweet, pretty lead.
Because often they're boring, aren't they?
Actually boring roles.
Yeah.
Often, in the Seagull or whatever, and some of those, and in some of the Shakespeares, I'd much rather be someone on the left who was actually having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
They had a bit of humour to them. I love humour. Yeah, but then also I played the leads as well. And
you
but
did
as I got older and but then I never got offered what's the other lovely role? Beatrice. So
who was your Beatrice?
Geraldine Brophy, who's marvellous. So she was wonderful in it.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't think of me. And I was younger. Hero is a great role. I enjoyed it very much. But,
yes, but Beatrice is a really fun role.
Absolutely. Yeah. And see, also in Merchant of Venice, I played Jessica rather than Portia.
Right.
And again, Geraldine Brophy played, Portia. But again, it's just the way it rolls, and you look back and you go, oh, I would have loved to have played that. But in the end, I've had some bloody brilliant roles.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you've had such, a long career at the Court Theatre. Like, to me, I mean, it seems like a charmed life to be in all those Court Theatre shows. Did it feel like that?
Yes, it did feel like a charmed life. I knew I was lucky and I loved it. They are my theatre family. There are people there who I value just as much as anyone in my own family. Linda Milligan, Yvonne Martin, Geoffrey Heath, all these beautiful people I work with and still work with. And it's been 40 years. Yeah. I started at 18. I'm now 58. 40 years.
Yeah, well.
And now I am the old one. I was the young one and now I'm the oldest.
So now I was going to ask you about that. So how did that feel, the shifting from the ingenue and those sorts of characters? Like, has there been anywhere near the same amount of roles as you've gotten older?
Through the middle years, there were a lot of roles. I'd say there are less roles now.
Yes.
But there is often, an older woman, but there's certainly not several older women.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
And interesting.
Yes.
Often it is a grandma or just an older woman. So...
And that was something that was really important to me. Like in the first incarnation of the casting, there wasn't anybody that was over 40, I don't think. And I was quite... And it hadn't been conveyed properly to the director that was something that I really had as a sort of bottom line. And so the fact that we could redress that in the postponement because of Omicron makes me so happy. I was like, there needs to be... Because you can't actually substitute the wisdom of of age. Not that you're an old wise crone or anything. Well, unless you
Well,
want
you're
to
going
be.
towards that.
Yeah. I was talking the cronification as
No,
menopause.
I don't mind crone. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Well, you need an old crone.
Yeah.
There's just no substitution for that mature wisdom, even though Mrs. Dashwood's also a bit silly too, which is actually quite fun.
Yes.
But she has that, that whole thing. She's like, oh, even though she's actually only 40.
I
in the book.
know.
But of course, 40 in 1811 is, basically.
Nearly dead.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I just really, and because I know that there's a lack of it, and it's really lovely actually to be in a position to be able to affect that change as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I insisted there was a female director, because there's not as many, absolutely, and so if you don't have as many chances to direct, then, where can we go from there?
True. Although I must say, I think that people are writing for more diversity now. I think you would agree there.
Yeah.
Whether it's racially, age-wise, all sorts of ways we can be more, and female-wise, absolutely. I think we're seeing plays that have more inclusive and can actually say, well, that character could be this and it could be that, and it's actually, there's no sort of specification there. So that is good. But yeah, there isn't so many roles. But also, I can't do, it's not as though I can do 8 plays a year. Not that the court would, would have me doing 8 plays a year or something like that. But it's like, I'm doing 2 this year, and that's plenty.
Right.
It's actually it's a lot of work.
Right.
It's half a year doing both these plays.
Yeah, and there's a lot of lines to learn in Sense.
There's a lot of lines, and a lot of lines in Sense and Sense, and then I'm coming up to another one called Appropriate. It can be said in 2 different ways, and it's that's going to be huge. And I'm exhausted with Sense and Sensibility, and then I'm going to face this other beast. So half a year, 6 months worth of work. I'll do something else for the rest of the year.
I'm sorry that I'm exhausting you.
You've exhausted me, you bitch.
I'm so sorry.
I love being exhausted.
Excellent, good. I mean, that's the thing I love about that story. It's just such a delightful story, and it's, and it's still so relevant. That's the thing. Yes. Housing, it's about women trying to find a house that they can afford.
Yeah.
And also, like often divorced women and people like that are much more disadvantaged at trying to buy a house.
Absolutely.
And
poor
she's a
people,
widow.
Poorer women.
Yeah.
Yep. Disadvantaged because she's a widow.
Yep.
The money's gone away because it goes to the new family. It's so relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So I enjoyed that, but then it has that really joyful, romance.
Beautiful.
Yes, but also, and it has been a bit annoying that there's this whole thing. Well, it's been annoying my whole career when I stopped to think about it. Just so often, women's work, starring women, directed by women, written by women, is deemed to only be for women to enjoy. And that's one thing I think the marketing could have been a bit more inclusive around dudes.
Yes. Absolutely.
The amount of people are like, oh, my husband would have actually enjoyed this.
Absolutely. No, so many people have said that to me, and I just thought, they should have come. How, but anyway, that is marketing.
And it's also this entrenched misogynistic notion.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, we can revel in a girl's night out, but... So did you feel like as your body was changing that reflected your roles? Or how did you get over the bulimia and all that sort of stuff?
Well, I think I sort of, slightly got over it a little bit just myself, just sort of started to like myself a bit better because I don't think I've ever had a great relationship with my body. Through my life, I've never really thought about liking myself, all those things that people sort of do nowadays and accept yourself and all that. I didn't have my mother, if we're going to talk about my mum.
Absolutely.
Was quite a cool mum, and she was of a much older sort of time. I mean, she had me when she was, 42 or something like that.
Right.
So she was born in 1925 and came through the Depression and the war, and they were really poor, and she wasn't adored by her family until, I think she said her dad didn't sort of realise she was sort of alive till she was 13, but it was too late.
Yeah,
he suddenly said, oh, she's interesting. And they had 2 sons either side of her brothers, who they adored, and her in the middle, just ignored. So she wasn't, but my father was gorgeous and loving and delightful and very funny. So it all evened out. But I think that coolness from your mother and the lack of touch and all of those things, she used to sew for us just so crazily. That's how she loved us, give us things. So speech lessons, dance lessons, music lessons, that was how she loved us. But I think that sort of, that lack of sort of really loving myself.
Did she love herself?
I don't think she did.
Yeah.
No.
And
she
it's
just
amazing
wore
how
herself out for us. Wore her body out. Didn't know about herself or even think about herself.
How many kids did she have?
She had 6, but she had 11 pregnancies.
Oh.
She had a baby who actually died, born and was dead. Oh. She had an ectopic pregnancy. and then she had 4 miscarriages as well.
Oh my God.
So yeah, she had it. She basically, Mum would have loved to have been an archaeologist or something like that. She loved nature. She loved all those sort of things, but she didn't have any opportunity. And I don't know if she had the brain for that, but she was interested in so many things. Really fascinating woman.
And how was she with like puberty and things?
Oh, I never went to my mother about puberty. I just went to my
Your
sisters.
sisters,
Yeah, and I just went, I've got my period. And then Therese, my sister, said, here's a tampon and put that up there, sort of thing. But I never even told Mum.
Wow.
And my brother and I, for puberty, Mum and Dad, because we were the last kids in the family, there were 6 of us, and then me and James were the last, they'd bought these books, and they were covered in plastic, a girl one and a boy one, that were just in the lounge, and I just ripped mine open. No one said, read that book when you want to.
So it was actually still sealed in
They
plastic.
were sealed in plastic.
Like they
and
were
I just
porn.
like porn books. And I ripped it open and saw, penises and vaginas and whatever, and learned all about things. I can't even remember. But they were pretty awful books anyway. But anyway, that's how I learned. And I learned from girls at school.
Yeah, right.
Just at St Mary's College, they'd tell me about, getting a stiffy or whatever you learned about. You think, well, how does a penis go up there? They go stiff. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, because why would you think that they would?
This big floppy thing. How would that get up there?
I've said this before on the podcast, but at St Joseph's in Papanui, I learned things, and I came home to Mum, and said, "Is it true that Dad sticks his penis in your bottom?" The Catholics, they told me this. Yes,
I love it.
Yeah, it's very funny. Right, okay, cool. So you were telling me previously in a discussion that you loved being pregnant.
I did very much. I was 39, so I was nearing my mum's age when I got pregnant. I just loved it. I felt, and it sounds sort of a bit gooey, ooey, but I just felt like that was what I was meant to do. Like my body was so happy when I was pregnant. I had a lovely little, beautiful bump, which my beautiful boy was in there. I just glowed. I thought I was so beautiful, and I was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Loved having sex when I was pregnant, and I felt fabulous.
Did you have any morning sickness or anything like that?
Probably about a day.
Oh, wow.
So I was very lucky.
Yes, indeed.
I was happy, and I looked gorgeous.
Right.
So, there you go.
And you got to buy new frocks. New pregnancy frocks.
New pregnancy. Oh, it was gorgeous.
And how old is he now?
He's 19.
And it's Seamus.
Seamus, and he lives here with us, and he's at uni. Oh, yes, he's hilarious.
What's he doing at university?
He's doing engineering and mechatronics, whatever the hell that is. It's little tiny robots or something. I have no idea.
Okay, now your dog is asleep.
And snoring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Little snuffle noises. This is going to be a very dog-friendly podcast to people out there. Did you only want one, or...?
Well, I was getting older. I mean, I met Giles in my sort of mid-50s. Who's my...
So I said, what? Yes.
I met Giles in my mid-30s, right. And he already had a daughter who was about 13, 14. And I said, well, do you want another child? And he went, yeah, if you want one, sort of thing. And he was very happy. He loves babies. So, 39, I have a baby. I was a teacher at the time. I'd been an actor, and then I'd become a primary school teacher as well. So I took time off doing that, and, had this great kid. And yeah, so he was just great. And we sort of tried again about a year later, but it never happened. And I was happy having one.
Yeah. And did you ever sort of think, well, what if, if I'd been in Shortland Street or what have you, as opposed to the cafe on Shortland Street? This might not have happened, like...
Well, I was really happy I did. I mean, I had a partner before, Giles, who didn't want children, didn't want animals,
Right.
Well,
surrounded by animals.
I know. We're right here in the middle of the zoo.
Yeah.
So, and one day I was having coffee with this former partner, and we were just having a normal coffee somewhere, and I went, actually, you don't want kids and you don't want animals. I actually don't want those doors shut. So we're going to have to split up. And we just went home numb. And I just packed up my things and left his home.
And how long had you been together?
7 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I'm really glad it happened. Yeah. But it was quite a shock. It just happened over a nice coffee, at Blue Jean Cuisine in town in Christchurch. And it just, so there we go. And I'm just glad. I just don't want doors shut in my life.
Yeah. Ultimatums life. That you things that you want.
Yeah.
There's no going.
They might happen. I don't want doors shut.
Yeah. Yeah, right, okay.
So that was good.
Now, you trained to be a teacher. Was that you were sick of acting? You weren't getting roles that you wanted? You wanted a different challenge? You wanted more money?
Oh, maybe all of those things. I've been acting since I was sort of 18, so this is in my early 30s. So it's sort of, I'd been acting for about 10 years and had been overseas, etc. And I think I did want something else. I actually thought, I do want to do something else. And I'd always thought, because two of my sisters are teachers, I never want to be a teacher. But then I thought I do want to be a teacher, a high school teacher, and teach English and drama. So I did a big fat English degree, which I adored, at Canterbury University. And then I got to the end of that degree and I went, no, I don't want to be a high school teacher. I want to be a primary school teacher. So then I did a 15-month diploma in teaching. And I've got a real love-hate relationship with teaching, though. I've done that for now 20 years, in amongst acting as well. But it drives me insane because it's so hard.
Yeah, the workload is enormous for the money.
Huge, yeah. And I usually teach new entrants, so I've got little 5-year-olds, and I adore them. I adore the children. However, basically you're bleeding emotion all day.
Yeah, well.
So you get home and you can't speak. So I can't speak and I crawl into bed. Now this is not every day, everybody, but this is a lot. And then you get up and you sort of have to tackle dinner or whatever you're doing after that, and then get up and do it all again. Yeah. And I wasn't very good at managing my time. So I'd be there on Saturday or Sunday. I'd bring shit home. I'd be marking books or putting little stickers on them. I mean, which is awful teaching anyway. So, I still do a little bit. I do a bit of relieving. Yeah. It's damn good money. It's sort of like, about $260 a day.
Oh, yeah.
In your hand. So if you do that, a couple of those a week, that's pretty good,
really. Yeah.
But I can't do it ever full time again, like year on. And I'm getting older anyway, but, I could still do it if I wanted to, but I'm not going to.
So this is you teaching and acting, and is this what you wanted to be when you grew up, like when you were younger? Like, I was going to be a ballerina, and then puberty ruined it.
Gosh, I would have loved to have been a ballerina. I did do ballet, but again, my body didn't want me to be a ballerina, or I just turned into what I thought was a fat person. So, I didn't go down. I did ballet for 10 years, but I wanted to be a vet. But then I realised you had to kill animals. So, of course, very quickly, I just wanted to work with animals. But that wasn't going to happen. So, I didn't really... There was nothing else I really sort of can think of that I really wanted to do. And I never thought of being an actor. My family was working class. We didn't go to the theatre or anything like that. We did lessons, but we didn't go to the court theatre or anything like that. And then when I realised that you could actually be an actor and get paid for it, I just couldn't believe it. So when I got offered a role at the court as a student actor, I was just over the moon.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in that I grew up going to the court theatre, absolutely. So, I have my mother really to thank for that. I did a speech to the Friends of the Court Theatre last night. My parents were there.
How was it?
It was very nice.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Yeah, it was very nice talking to lots of lovely people who support theatre. And that really quintessential theatre audience that's actually kept us all afloat for quite some time. Yeah, but Mum was there, and Mum was on the Court Supporters Committee for about 30 years. So having that definitely helped that way.
Yeah.
To know that you can be what you can see and all of that.
Yeah, Mum used to take us to big ballets that came from Russia and
yes.
things like that.
I went to see the Russian ballet too.
Yeah, but not to the court theatre. It's bizarre. But we just weren't brought up in an intellectual household that read classic things. We all did eventually. Like, we all are great readers and love all sorts of literature now. But Mum and Dad didn't come from that background, so I think they just didn't go there.
So were your parents immigrants to New Zealand, or were they?
No,
Right.
We're sort of like probably fourth generation.
Yeah, me too.
Irish.
Me too.
Yeah. From both sides of the family.
So how Catholic are they?
Very Catholic, they were.
They were.
But, one of my sisters is actually a minister.
Oh, wow.
An Anglican minister.
Yes.
And my brother was a Baptist minister, but he is not anymore. But he's a very spiritual person and a poet. And then one of my sisters is a teacher, and the other is a nurse, and James is a psychologist, my younger brother. So there's, all sorts of stuff happening. And we love all sorts of things. But Mum and Dad were just, very from poorer working class sort of stuff. But
so, and you're not Christian at all?
No, I'm not a Christian at all.
No. When did that change?
No, in my teens.
Me too.
I kept sort of saying to Mum and Dad, I'll always be a Catholic and all this, but it just
I just got to a point where I just said, none of this makes sense.
No.
And if we're right, why are they wrong?
Yeah,
and we're right. That was the main one. Like,
yeah.
Hindu, Muslim, it's like, how can this be the chosen, why?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. You're way ahead of me. No, my thing was when my sister left the church, Bernadette, and did she marry out of the church or something like that? And a nun told me that she was going to go to hell, that she'd committed a carnal sin or whatever it was. And I went home and told Mum and said that Bernadette was going to go to hell. And I just couldn't believe it. It just upset me so much.
Yeah.
I cried and cried. And then I just thought, well, I'm not into that.
Yeah.
And I just started to lose it. And look, I went to the dentist the other day, this is now, and they were playing a Christian song at the dentist in a secular country. I mean, that's just weird to me. So I'm just not into
And I'm
that.
I hate you. Everyone says, let us pray. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
No.
Yeah, even though, and I went to a Presbyterian high school, Catholic, all of that. So I feel very qualified in my atheism is what I like to say. Definitely that way.
Love it.
So now, as an actor and things like that, how do you feel like your body has served you?
Gosh, if I look through look through albums and stuff, if I look back on my career, I mean, I think my body was always good on stage. I did all the stuff it was supposed to for me. As I said earlier, I had mental ideas about my body which weren't actually real, that it was a little bit bigger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, it's always been able. It's done what I needed it to do. I've got good, vocal support.
Yeah.
I've never had problems with anything physically. Yeah, it's only in my later years, which we might talk about with the old big M word, the menopause, that things have changed really weight-wise, etc.
Right.
So, yeah, my body's always served me well.
Great.
Until sort of now, really,
Okay.
I suppose.
Now, do you have a favourite body part?
My boobs.
All right.
My breasts, my tits. I love them, and they're still rather lovely. And I'll tell you what, one of my cast members a couple of nights ago said, we will talk about boobs, just saying, and someone said, oh, would any of you ever have a boob job? And I've never thought of that because I like my tits. And they were all going, oh, too frightened. No, what if it went wrong? And people was talking about, I had a friend and it went wrong. And then one of them said, actually, Eilish, if I could have the tits of my dreams, they'd be yours. And this is a person who's, 20 years younger than me.
Wow. Your
So I
tits
just
are the
think,
tits of my dreams.
Hey, thanks.
There you
Especially
go.
when you're an older woman and you start to become invisible, even though I try not to be invisible. It's lovely when someone actually admires you and goes, hey, you've got great boobs. So, I was happy.
I've had a love-hate relationship with mine because they've been so enormous and so... Again, I've talked about this quite a bit, but my nickname at St. Joseph's was Big Tits.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so when you get little, you just get sexualised from a young age.
Yes.
And also, if you have a big tits, apparently you're a slut.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
which, and then I was for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, just that stuff that you get judged by them. And in comedy, if you talk about them too much, then it's gross, and you're too full on, and all this sort of stuff. So, I have a love-hate, but I've never contemplated a reduction.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
but so what's your favourite body part of yourself?
I have a tricky thing with this. I did once read a survey about people's least favourite body part, and the majority was their face.
Oh.
I know, which I thought was horrible.
That's so sad.
Yeah, really, really sad, because I quite like my face.
Yeah, you've got a gorgeous face.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have I have love-hate relationship with my vocal cords because I have nearly got nodules, and I always have to use a microphone. So, and that's why I love that technology but I really like my voice and my singing voice, but I hate the fragility of it.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Well, the body part I hate is my stomach and middle, my waist. I've got really good legs. My mother had great ankles, so I've got all that from her, and good boobs. But we've got no waist, and I was used to want a waist. You'd see my friend, she had a lovely big bottom, but a waist. So that's never happened, unless I'm really slim, and then I've got a waist.
Yeah,
so
but
it's just having to
that's
keep
the thing too, you have to rail again. To me, to get really slim, I just won't be able to eat.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Especially
how I'm made.
now, as I'm older, it's like you just look at food and you've put on 10 kilos,
Yeah, and you do notice it, around that middle part. I mean, I do have a waist, which I'm fortunate about for all my corset.
Lovely,
That
yes.
really works for
Yeah.
that. But, yes, so then let's talk about your menopause.
Well, my menopause was later than probably many women's was, but I know my mother's and my sisters, they are all later too. So in our sort of mid-50s, we got menopause. So I know women who start in their late 40s. I suppose.
Some people started, I interviewed one woman, she was 36.
Wow. Oh, my Lord. So anyway, I never did any research on it. I didn't think about it.
Well, we weren't told about it.
No.
So we didn't know what to expect.
True.
I've been
absolutely.
outraged by that.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So but I didn't look into it, and you're right. There were no talks about it. People didn't chat about it, which now they do, which is fabulous. You're
Absolutely.
doing it, and I hear it all the time. There was a one on, well, of course it was National Women's Day yesterday,
Yes.
and Jessie Mulligan was talking about it to a woman about, and so that's great. But then my menopause was quite gentle. So I had some hot flushes, or flashes or whatever you call them, but not many. I didn't go on HRT. I didn't seem to need to. However, I have put on weight. The biggest thing. And also, I felt some brain fog.
Right.
What I actually thought was dementia.
Exactly.
And I went to a whoever, some sort of specialist, and he gave me a CAT scan. He said, "You're worried enough," and he said, "I think everything's perfectly normal with this patient." But so I got a CAT scan, and they rang me in the middle of the supermarket. This doctor said, "We're just ringing you with your CAT scan." So either I was going to be told that I had dementia, that was the path, or that I was fine. And she said, "And you've got a perfectly normal brain." And I was sort of looking at the frozen peas.
Wow.
And I just, for a year, I thought I was going to die soon, basically, of dementia.
Oh my God.
I was so worried.
And this is the thing that's so frustrating about the fact that, if you had known that was an entirely normal symptom, you probably wouldn't have spent a year worried about it.
I know. The doctor nor the specialist said this could be menopause.
They didn't say that at all?
No.
Oh, for fuck's sake. And this was only 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yes. I know. It was unbelievable. I was just terrified. And I was planning this dementia life for myself and thinking of, I'll just leave Giles because he won't be able to cope with me. And it was awful.
Well, I'm sure he'd want to cope with you.
No, I don't think so.
Or do you not want to be coped with?
Oh, all of those things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate bothering people. I do.
Oh, honey. But people love you.
But you'd be bothered if you had dementia. You'd be bothering everybody.
You would be, but I'd like to think that
You'd
my
be
husband
pissing
would...
everywhere.
Yeah, that I know. It's funny, isn't it? We all go to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to think my husband would stick around.
Oh,
I'll have a word to Giles. I'll have a word to Giles.
Darling Giles. I'm sure he would stick around. And look, hey, let's hope it doesn't happen in the next few years
So
anyway.
did you lose control of your bladder in the supermarket with joy at that point?
I was just so joyous and happy, but I didn't lose control of my bladder.
Well done.
It's just both my parents have had dementia.
Aye, there we
in
go.
the end, you see. So
Yes.
there is a fear. But then again, it doesn't have to be. And I have a different diet, a different, fitness regime, or lots of different things that my parents didn't have. So,
When I
heart
discovered,
disease, etc.
right, I discovered that dementia is not hereditary, and I nearly threw a parade because my everywhere strokes and then dementia. That's one thing too.
Yeah.
Like my mother is convinced that it's the narrative for herself.
Ah.
Yeah, she really is. And she's had scans recently and they're fine. My dad can't remember what he did yesterday. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, I don't give a fuck if you can't remember. That's your problem. Sort of thing.
But is it dementia or is it just a bit of forgetfulness?
I don't know. I think
Not
it's a
sure.
bit of forgetfulness. But, actually the thought of him having to confront that and then not be in control of everything is a deeply painful prospect.
I know.
Oh, so you've lived that.
Oh, I've lived that.
How was that?
It was the worst thing I've ever gone through, particularly with my father.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
Such a beautiful, delightful man through your life.
It destroyed us all. It was so awful.
Did he change personality?
Yes, he did. And, he went and cut all the hoses off around the house one day. Just, that's what he had to do. He just cut them all off with scissors.
What, did he have a reason?
I think he did, but I can't even remember.
Right, okay.
But, he just, it was just awful.
Did he end up going into care?
He went into care for about 2 weeks or something, and he actually walked home from the place. We tried to get home because he was just around the road. And then he got sicker. He had other complications, and he started to get those infarcts, the little tiny strokes.
Yeah.
So he started to actually go down, and we had him at home in my mum's place in Herwood Road. And then Mum actually had a sort of a small heart attack as Dad was dying, and so she was in hospital. He was dying in the lounge, and we just all slept round him as he went.
How old was he?
He was, Dad was 77.
Oh,
yeah, 77.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And then Mum 10 years later. So she was in a rest home because Mum smoked, so we couldn't actually have her in our house because she actually nearly burnt the rest home down, smoking and stuff. I know, it is funny, but it's...
Did she smoke till the end?
She did, but she didn't actually realise she was even smoking at the end. And we'd go to this rest home in Shirley, and she'd say, have you got a cigarette? So we'd all take, it didn't matter, at 85 or whatever she was.
Exactly.
And give her a fag outside and everything. And then she'd say, have you got a cigarette? And you say, Mum, you just had one. But she wouldn't remember.
Yeah, well.
And you just give her another one. And you sit there and then you'd go. But then her rest home was completely destroyed, upended in the earthquake. And she was basically taken to the airport with a plastic bag, a rubbish bag of her clothes by the army. And they said, oh, your mum's at the airport, ready to go to Wellington. And we all went, shit. And we all went to the airport and said goodbye. And then she went to Wellington and at a rest home and she stopped eating. And within 2 months she was dead.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just because there was nowhere for her to be in Christchurch.
There was nowhere for her to be in Christchurch. And it makes me so angry that we just didn't say she's staying with us.
Yeah.
But of course we were all in broken places too.
Of course you were.
And we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know she was going to die or, anything.
Oh,
and
honey,
so it was awful. But we'd go up and visit her. But by the time there was sort of time to bring her back, they said, oh, she's too sick to actually. She just stopped eating.
Right.
She was so sad. Yeah. But anyway, hey.
And have you made choices in your life to try and not go down that path on purpose?
I've certainly tried to, I suppose, modify my drinking because I do like drinking. But I know
it's quite enjoyable.
It is enjoyable.
I like drinking.
Damn it.
Yes.
But I've sort of tried not to drink as much as perhaps other people. I'm certainly probably eat in a better way than my parents did. I'm a vegetarian. Not that means you're healthy. Yeah, I certainly...
Red meat can have a lot of hearts and stuff like that.
It can. I probably don't exercise as much as I should. However, I must say, Sense and Sensibility has been the greatest workout
You're
for the
welcome.
last 4 weeks.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I've lost 5 kilos.
You've lost 5 kilos?
Oh yes.
My word, I didn't think the Jane Austen diet.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. So I feel fabulous at the moment actually. I'm just, I must say, during Sense and Sensibility, I also had a COVID at the beginning of it, just before we opened, of course, which changed my eating. I didn't feel like eating much. Then I stupidly ate a piece of cake that was 4 days old, which had cream in it, and so I got a stomach bug. I had some sort of food poisoning, and I couldn't eat properly for 2 weeks. Which was
something to do with the fun.
Well, it was fantastic.
It's so bad, isn't
Let's
it?
all eat bad cream. But it made me, basically, I sort of just eat one big meal, a meal a day, and I don't eat all morning, and sort of a bit of that thing of don't eat till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I've been sleeping a lot too, and I think that's post-COVID.
Yeah.
It's also the show's, it's good workout. So I sleep till about 10 o'clock every morning, whereas normally I'm a 7 o'clock in the morning girl.
Right. Well, I was worried about you.
I mean, you coming this morning, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get up for Penny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, yeah, I was worried because, there's that whole thing about you need to rest and doing my play is not resting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you do. You think you've got any long-term effects still?
Oh, no. I'm absolutely fine. And my body has become match fit. You do the play more and more and you actually save your feet because I've got foot problems in both feet, sort of different things. I've got an ankle injury and I've got arthritis in the other foot in the toe joint. And they can be a little bit hard to sort of work on. And that's another thing as you get older as a person.
Yeah,
These things are aging things and injury things. And I've just been told by ACC yesterday that injury is not going to be paid for.
Because it's degenerative in their mind.
Well, no, they didn't say that, but they said there's not enough evidence to say that the injury I did on the Cats tour when I was in the show Cats on stage, and I know that that's when I did it, in 2019, is not enough to say that that's what has happened in this.
They've turned me down before, but I pushed back and eventually got there.
I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back because I thought if that is, they said, this is from the evidence of the people who we've gathered from your medical people, that, this is the evidence says that this is not going to be paid for by us. And I thought, well, that means that the people I've been to, my podiatrist, my specialist and my doctor, have not fought hard enough and have not actually said that nothing was there before that injury.
I did a similar thing at the Buskers Festival in 2012. I was doing some energetic star jumps on stage.
Why did you do that?
Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was a dance that I did. I would get someone out of the audience one night.
That would kill me.
Right, yeah, because I did jazz, and so I was doing all these high kicks without warming up properly, right? And I did this big star jump, and I got somebody out of the audience, and this guy was incredible. I always got someone out. I had a dress, and I got to strip the dress off, and I had a leotard undone underneath. And then I did this big jazz dance to Total Eclipse of the Heart. I sang it first, and then it moved into a jazzy version.
Yeah.
This guy got out of the audience. He took off his own T-shirt, and we did a full Dirty Dancing lift moment. He just stood there like this at me, present, come on. So I ran up and jumped up, and then there's this moment that was.
I love it.
Ursula Carlson she took a picture of it at that moment. It was this incredible moment, but I fucked both my Achilles. But they said,
was it worth it?
Oh, I don't know. That's an interesting question because it was really a sublime moment. Yeah. But they said they weren't going to cover it because it was both Achilles at once, so therefore it must have been a long-term thing. And I was like, I've never had one Achilles problem in my whole life. And then, but my physio and my doctor pushed back and we got it covered.
You needed Ursula's photo to show this is what happened in my show. I did it in the show. But anyway, they pushed back, so that's great. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get them to push back because this is mental and it needs to be fixed.
And, people might not know this. Your dog has just farted. Unless it's you. I mean, I don't know.
It is not me. It is my old dog. But I would tell you if I had.
Oh, good. The thing that people might not know if they're not self-employed or had anybody to do with that we pay our own ACC levies.
Absolutely.
So we pay quite large chunks of cash to ACC, so then it's really frustrating when they turn us down.
I know, absolutely. So anyway, but I'll keep pushing for that. But that's, another thing about theatre. Oh, sorry, yes, farty dog. As you get older, your body is not quite as... I have arthritis in my knees, so you're thinking about roles. There's a role later in the year and I couldn't do it. It's that people were interested in me for called Dance Nation. Yes. But there's no way I could do Dance Nation because of my body at the moment. Right. And whether things can be fixed or whatever. But as an actor, you need a working body. You need to keep working. And I am actually going to join a gym. I'm going to join the local gym.
It's good to do some weight-bearing exercises. Really important.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Good. And I need to keep moving.
So for your menopause, you just had a few hot flushes and you've had this weight gain and the brain fog. Is the brain fog going away?
Yes, it is.
Great.
I'm feeling much better. Great. So I think my menopause is sort of probably through now. I didn't really, how they say from your last period. Well, you don't know it's going to be your last period, so I didn't write it down.
No, exactly. But it's definitely been a year.
And you're going, oh yeah, it's been a couple of years. Yeah. So that's all done. But I do want to address the weight gain because it's not just because of looks. It's, of course not, but it's health-wise. Yes. If you're adding, it's hard on your joints to carry more weight. It's hard on your organs and all of those things. So that's why the main thing. But it is also nice to fit into your dresses.
Yes, yes. Because I was looking. I know. I was reading about you. You love dresses. I have one over 100 dresses.
Oh, well, I'll show you my small amount of dresses after this interview.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but I do not have over 100,
I know,
bitch.
I know, it's ridiculous. And we both like 50s sort of style and stuff as well.
I love that one. I love the badger one. She's got the badger one on the purple badger.
It's there's a website called Run and Fly from the UK. I'll show it to you. They have all different animals. I've got lobsters, foxes, flamingos, lots of these different dresses.
Yeah.
Now, we're nearly there at the end, but one thing I think is a good question for you. What roles haven't you played that you wanted to play?
I would have loved to have played Lady Macbeth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I am too old for her now. That's one I love, Macbeth the play. I think
it's my favourite Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's mine. And I think it's my favourite because my English teacher when I was 15 was so damn good. Right. She hooked me onto Shakespeare. And we did Macbeth and we did Othello and they two are my favourites.
At school?
Yeah, at school.
Any other parts?
Yeah. I haven't talked about all of this. It's often those big ones like that. I love Tennessee Williams. If there's anything in Williams that I could still do, I adore Tennessee Williams. Yeah, would have loved to have done.
What about Lady Bracknell?
Oh, yes, I'd love to play a little tiny Lady Bracknell. I am only 5 foot. So, yes, she'd be tiny, but a powerhouse. I always think of lovely Judi Dench. Not that I am Judi Dench, but I think she is small like me and sort of like, you a little bit, but you're taller than me. But, and I think, well, she can do it, so can I.
Absolutely.
It can still be wonderful.
And I'm going to ask another question that might be confronting. When did you decide to go grey?
Well, about 3 years ago. I was, it really was sort of happening. And I kept... my hair grows very fast, although seemingly it slows down as you get older. But often I just shave it all off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
I've done that a few times. And for Titus, I had it all shaved up right round here and then had a big mohawk down the middle.
Oh my God, awesome.
It was fabulous.
Yes.
And it was about 3 years ago. And it was so youthful and sexy and powerful being this incredible warrior woman. But yeah, and then I just shaved it all off. I don't know. I was short for Wind in the Willows a couple of years ago.
So you just decided to go grey?
Yes, I did. And I wanted to grow long. I had long hair down past my knees when I was a kid, until I was 12. Right. And then I decided to just grow it.
And see what happens.
Yeah, and it's been fun.
You could definitely do another witch role.
I could be. Yeah, well, I thought if to be a hag or a crone in a movie, often grey hair. You see these... we watched an incredible series on Netflix called Dark, a German show.
I've seen it. Yep.
And the women on it with their grey hair, I just thought they were so powerful.
So you'd still love to get that movie, that telly role?
Yeah, I actually would. I want to learn how to be small for TV and film.
And it's something that I don't naturally excel at.
Well, I don't at all.
Yes.
But I actually that's something I want to work on.
Yeah.
Because I can be an old person on film.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Right, okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I think I'm done. I think I've told you stuff and pretty happy. Thanks, Penny.
Good. Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a lovely show tonight, and I'll see you at closing night.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much there to Eilish Moran. We were such lovies, weren't we? Actor lovies, talking theatre stuff. Hope you enjoyed all of that. If you want to see her on stage, head to Appropriate/Appropriate, which is on currently at the Court Theatre. You can see me and Justine Smith in Showy Ovaries live this Saturday, and The Tempestuous starts on June 13th, or Promise and Promiscuity in Christchurch at the end of July, and in Palmerston North in August, and then Austin Found August, September, October, all over the bloody country. Oh my God, it's going crazy. Ka kite, all you fantastic showy ovarians. Stand by for whatever surprise episodes may drop when you least expect it. Bye.